Good morning, trading world. It is August 9th, 2022, and this is my pre-market outlook and technical analysis for day trading the SPY. One day until CPI. So let's get ready. And getting ready for some of us may mean flattening out positions so that we don't take unnecessary and undue risk to our portfolio. Now, let's examine what has happened technically coming into the CPI. The first thing that I see is that the daily chart MACD has flattened out. And I have up here a 1-year daily chart, and you can see the MACD is flattening out. We're no longer vertical or delta gaining on the MACD. Now, we're above the zero line, which means the trend is up. However, momentum has started to wane, and you can see that either by the flattening out of the two lines on the MACD or the histogram bars darkening. So now I have a rule where, especially on swing trades, I try to never take shorts on a vertical or waterfall MACD. And so if I'm shorting, that means if the MACD is up, where we have the two lines still gaining, that is not a short for me. And the opposite is true. If it's waterfall headed down, that is not a buy for me. But now that it's flattening out, it's telling me now I have permission to start hunting for shorts. Now, the weekly chart is still the chart in control, and it is in its water break or rest area, but it still seems to have a little more sideways action baked into it. Remember, when a chart hits its rest area like a runner in a marathon, there's a tendency to run in place, consolidate, while it builds energy to go through the next level of range. This consolidation on the weekly chart could be a very large range, possibly all the way up to 421 down to 405. The weekly also feels like it is at or nearing the top of its range. With this down move starting to play out before CPI, remember the market is a pricing model that likes to price in events ahead of time. So we could be setting up for sell the rumor and buy the fact, which goes along with the bizarro world effect we've been in, because I can't imagine CPI being good news. Now, if the weekly is the chart in control, remember waiting on the turn in the weekly is like waiting on a tanker ship to make a U-turn. Knowing this, we have to watch the daily and the 4-hour for early signs and entries. This is all setting up for a very nice pop back up during or after the CPI report, where we can start looking for swing shorts. With that being said, let's get into the key levels for the day. All right, here we are with the key levels of the day. Starting on the resistance side, we have our jack resistance at the 413 to 414 area. We have our queen resistance at the 415 to 416 area, and king resistance at the 417 to 420 area. On the support side, we have our jack support at 411 to the 410 area, queen support 409 to the 408 area, and then king support 407 to the 403 area. The main thesis for today is bearish, closing below the 412.99 with a projected target low of between 411 and 406. The alternate thesis for today is bullish, closing above the 412.99 with a projected target high of between 413 and 419. The current major channel we are in is 397 to 416, and the next major channel above is 416 to 425. That brings us to the scenarios of the day. All right, here we are with our first scenario. It's going to be our expanded range day or range day structure. We could look to set a decision area high boundary around the jack or queen resistance area, then chopping back down later in the day. The expanded range day or any range day structure, the key to that structure is closing above or below that previous close and setting boundaries, which is usually a boundary that's going to act like a high of the day or a boundary that's going to act as a low of the day. And you're going to see that depending on what type of indicator you use, you'll see that price action will generally flow with that indicator. Especially if you're using something momentum-wise like the MACD or RSI. Let's get to the next day structure. All right, our next day structure is going to be our trend day down. We open gap down and start with a pop back up towards that previous close represented by the blue line. We find resistance on or before that previous close, then begin the downtrend for the morning, also known as our golden window because it is the best trade window for the day. We find our midday chop around either the possible queen or king support area, and then it'll be interesting to see how the second half of the day goes. It usually starts with a head fake that looks to continue the major trend of the morning, which would be down, and then at some point later in the day going into the close, we would usually get a rally going into the close. So that's our trend day down structure. The probabilities for the trend day down in our next scenario are pretty much the same for today, being that we're so close to a common area where risk kind of prices in okay. That's the reason we get this jumbled probability between the day structures when we reach somewhere that's where risk is common or in the hit toward the middle of that standard deviation. And let's look at the last scenario for today. All right, our last day structure is going to be our rounded reversal day type. We could get a continued push lower toward the Jack or Queen support area and find our midday chop around either the Queen or King support area before spending the same energy we used coming down to go back up the second half of the day. Now, with the rounded reversal day type structure, we have a vice versa alert warning on this today. And that vice versa alert would look something like this, where instead of getting a continued push lower from the cash open, we would start with a push higher off the cash open. And then we would find our midday chop either around the Jack or Queen resistance area, and then the second half of the day would be spent coming down with the same amount of force as we went up with in the morning. So that is our rounded reversal day type structure. Those are the 3 day types I will be preparing for today. I hope this helps. And as always, I feel that your most important job as a trader is to protect the capital that you already have. And we do that by understanding and knowing the risk that we take in each position. And I'm going to close out today, as I do always, wishing you a positive trading day. Hope you have a great one.